What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here and my beautiful wife, Laurel, here on our daily show. How are you today? And we're here with some interesting news about your favorite person,
Yeah, boy.
Senator Joe Manchin. A little bit of sarcasm there. I know a lot of people, Senator Joe Manchin, whether you're from right, left, or Senator, right, left, or Senate, right, left, or from the middle, Senator Joe Manchin's not always everybody's favorite, but he's in the news yet again. This time, criticizing his own party, uh, Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema, who is supposed to be one of his closest allies.
Maybe not anymore.
Yeah, take a look at this.
Joe Manchin swipes at Kyrsten Sinema, arguing she made us wait 2 years to pass prescription drug reform.
So wait. So it's Kyrsten Sinema that made us wait 2 years, not Joe Manchin?
If that ain't the pot calling the kettle black.
So let's hear the details on this.
In a roundtable discussion, Manchin noted that the $35 cap on insulin for private insurance was tossed out by Republicans. Quote, then we had a senator from Arizona who basically didn't let us go as far as we needed to go with our negotiations and made us wait 2 years, Manchin said. Those type of things, I don't question anybody. Everyone's responding to their own constituent base, but we did get something. Manchin's statement seems to reference Sinema, the final holdout for the IRA among Senate Democrats, who has taken a more moderate stand toward pharmaceuticals reform.
Gee, I wonder why she's taking a more moderate stance for the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah. A Manchin spokesperson said that the senator misspoke during the roundtable. Yeah, maybe he should have referred to himself instead.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sinema responded on Twitter.
Oh, wait, let's see this. Bring this up.
To a tweet of Manchin's quote with a link to a November 2021 statement outlining her agreement to an earlier Medicare drug negotiation provision. So this is what she linked to. It's a statement on her historic Medicare drug negotiation agreement from November 2021. So basically she's trying to say, hello, I negotiated to this Medicare provision in November 2021. What are you talking about, Joe?
Yeah, so I wonder who really was the person that made us wait.
I don't know. Why don't you bring up all those lovely articles I showed you the other day?
Gee, let's see what's next here.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
So these are previous articles here. Ready?
November 2nd, 2021. In blow to Biden, Joe Manchin will not commit to backing $1.75 trillion spending bill. Not Kyrsten Sinema, ya boy Joe Manchin.
All right, here's...
Oh, look at this one. December 19th, 2021. Senator Joe Manchin says he won't vote for Biden's Build Back Better Act.
Next up.
Oh my goodness. Couldn't be Joe Manchin again, could it? April 26th. Manchin shuts down notion of Biden Build Back Better comeback.
Oh, next up in July.
Oh, Biden urges Democrats to pass slim health care bill after Manchin nixes the climate action. What is he smoking?
And now ultimately we know that the Inflation Reduction Act did get passed after finally Joe Manchin gave his okay. And
that guy
basically
is so wishy-washy, I swear.
We had Democratic Representative Ro Khanna from California basically saying, give Joe Manchin the pen. He wasn't saying give Kyrsten Sinema the pen.
No.
So now Joe Manchin is trying
to... He says he's agreed. Here, take the pen and sign it now.
Trying to put the blame on Kyrsten Sinema. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of Kyrsten Sinema. I do think that she's kind of, so to speak, in bed with corporations and corporate
here's
lobbyists.
Joe Manchin.
Back in the bus over her.
Yeah.
I do think that he's doing that. I think that he's kind of bullying her a little bit. I think that what do you think?
He's just.
I think he's kind of bullying her a little bit. I think.
Well, she's not that great anyway.
I feel like he feels that he could push her around a little bit.
Well, she sucks. I mean.
And honestly, she's got terrible approval ratings in her own state.
Well, yeah, I mean, I will never ever forget that video of her at the airport, and one of her constituents were trying to talk to her, and she wouldn't even give her the time of day.
A young lady just like herself, she wouldn't even talk to her. She's like, "Get out of here!" And the lady's like walking next to her.
Good luck getting reelected.
And she's like, and Kyrsten Sinema goes to the lady, "Don't touch me." and the lady, who's like a young girl, professionally dressed just like her, and she's like, I didn't touch you.
Good
and
luck.
She's like trying to talk to her. She's like, "I'm one of your constituents. I'm from Arizona." And she's like, "My family needs this, that, and the other thing." And she's trying to talk about all these things. And Kyrsten Sinema just completely blew her off. And the video went viral. We showed it here on our channel. I'm sure it was shown, millions of times
everywhere.
And she basically said, "I'm from, whatever group in Arizona. We helped get you elected." And she didn't even give her a breath of air.
Kyrsten Sinema basically told her to go F herself.
Fly
pretty much. Yeah.
So we'll see. She's not up for re-election this year. She's up for re-election in 2 more years. So is Joe Manchin. So remember, senators.
Good luck to both of them.
Senators. Joe Manchin, though, he's got a better chance. He comes from a typically Republican base, West Virginia there. Okay. So he's got stronger approval ratings. Okay. And remember, he used to be governor of West Virginia.
He did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look. Yeah, when you look here, he was governor of West Virginia for like 5 years.
Wow.
He was also Secretary of State for West Virginia as well. So he's kind of like a down home West Virginia, been there for a long time type of guy.
Okay.
So West Virginia, he's a West Virginia type of guy, been there for a long time. Secretary of State, governor of West Virginia. Now he's a senator of West Virginia. He's
okay.
And remember that West Virginia has had a lot of Republicans there as well. So he's he's not a far left Democrat from West Virginia, because West Virginia is not that kind of state.
No.
So he walks the middle ground type of road there.
Okay.
So that's the road he walks.
Yeah.
And that's a different road than a lot of the Democrats walk. And that's why he gets in some boxing matches with a lot of his party, because he walks a middle ground type of road.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Right.
We'll see. But he's a staple of West Virginia, because they know him. He's been the governor. He's been the Secretary of State. He's been the senator. He's been there forever. Now, whether he gets reelected, we won't know for 2 more years. Now, Kyrsten Sinema is a different story. She's a freshman senator, and she's got terrible approval. She's got terrible approval ratings. I've seen a lot of people in the comment section from Arizona say that they don't care for her. We'll see. I'm not bashing anyone, because again, I'm from neither party. Some people say, "Jimmy, you bashed the Republicans." Then I get people say, "Jimmy, you bashed the Democrats." I mean, those are Democrats. Again, I just call it how I see it. You guys can have a completely different opinion from me, and that's totally okay. That's what makes the United States great. I'm a realist. I just call it how I see it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Another interesting thing here, Republican leader Mitch McConnell downplaying the Republican chances of winning the Senate, from his own words here. Take a listen.
Tonight, Mitch McConnell downplaying chances of Republicans winning back the Senate, which looked almost like a foregone conclusion just a few months ago.
I think there's probably a greater likelihood the House flips than the Senate. Candidate quality has a lot to do with the outcome.
Several Republican Senate candidates are struggling right now to get an upper hand, including Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania, Herschel Walker in Georgia, and J.D. Vance in Ohio. Republicans just poured another $28 million into Vance's race today. Even Republican incumbent Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, in a new poll, is now 7 points behind his Democratic challenger. This is not what everybody said was going to happen 30 days ago, 60 days ago. Harry Enton is CNN data reporter, and he is with me now. So, Harry, the landscape has changed pretty dramatically, at least people's perception of the landscape. Where do things stand?
Yeah, I must admit, Aaron, I am surprised at where things stand. You look at key races like in Arizona, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin. What do you see in these races? In Georgia, you see the Democrats ahead in Arizona. New Fox News poll literally out last hour, plus 8 points. Georgia, again, Democrats up 3 points. Ohio, you do see that J.D. Vance is ahead, but barely ahead. Pennsylvania, Fetterman up 10. Wisconsin up 4. Mandela Barnes in an average of recent polls. This is not where I thought things were, and it speaks to a shifting tide towards the Democrats that we've seen nationally. Biden's approval ratings a little bit up. The generic ballot Democrats are doing a little bit better, and now we're also seeing it in Senate races as well.
Okay, which is very significant. And then McConnell says something. You know, he's always careful with what he says, and it's always very evenly delivered. Okay, but he said something important. He said candidate quality has a lot to do with the outcome. And on those races you see there, those are the candidates people point to for exactly that issue.
That's exactly right. I mean, just go to Pennsylvania, for example, Mehmet Oz, who's 20 points underwater on his net favorability. That's his favorable minus his unfavorable rating. You look at a state like Georgia, you see Herschel Walker, again, minus 5 points on his net favorability. And you keep going to all these different states. Arizona, Blake Masters, 4 points underwater. And you see that in all those races that we mentioned, where the Democrats are ahead, the net favorability of the different Republicans is underwater. Their unfavorable ratings are higher than their favorable ratings. This is a longstanding problem with Republicans. We saw it in 2010 as well, a year in which we thought Republicans had a good chance of taking back the Senate, and they blew it because they nominated bad candidates in the minds of the voters.
Right, and you got, Johnson, and you've got an incumbent, but Oz, that was completely discretionary. That was their choice. And Walker, completely discretionary. That's their choice.
That was their choice, and in a lot of those cases, who was the man who perhaps got those candidates over the finish line? It was the former President Donald Trump, who went in and endorsed Mehmet Oz, for example. He didn't have to be the nominee, but because of Trump's endorsement, he barely got Oz over the finish line in Pennsylvania.
That's amazing. You wonder when Georgia will ever learn. Well, President Biden's approval rating does remain low. You talked about it improving a little bit, but it's still bad, low. Okay? Latest CNN poll has him at 38%. So I understand direction matters. What is more important here for Democrats, the level or the direction?
I might argue that while they're both important, the thing that's most interesting to me, if you go back over time and you say, okay, let's look at the Senate races or the Senate years in which the incumbent, the White House party, did not, in fact, lose any seats or, in fact, gain seats, and look at the president's approval rating in those years. We don't actually see that much of a relationship.
That's amazing.
You look at like 1982, for example, Ronald Reagan was not anywhere close to 50%. In fact, Republicans held their ground. You look just 4 years ago. Remember, Donald Trump was well underwater. What happened? Republicans actually gained 2 Senate seats. Now, there are years in which the president's approval rating is high and the White House party holds or gains seats, but the relationship is not as straight as you might expect it to be. So at this point, even though Biden's approval rating is low, it's not shocking to me that Democrats are not only holding their ground. If the election were held today, they might actually gain a Senate seat.
Yeah, which is incredible, and McConnell sees it as well.
It's right there in the numbers, Aaron.
Yeah, so one of the other reasons why the Republicans may have a harder time winning the Senate is about 1/3 of the Senate is only up for re-election. And more Republicans are up for re-election than Democrats. So remember, it's a 50-50 Senate. So that means that those Republicans would have to retain all of their seats just to break even. And then they would have to win more Democratic seats to overcome the Democrats. So, and remember that because it's a 50-50 Senate, the tiebreaker goes to whoever is the vice president, which is currently a Democrat. So in a 50-50 Senate, the Democrats win because the 51st vote goes to to Democrats, okay? So for the Republicans to win over the Senate, they have to actually have 51 seats to overcome the tiebreaker, where the Democrats only need 50 seats because the Democrats win in a 50-50 Senate. So the Republicans actually have to have 51 to 49. So the Republicans have a harder road to win the Senate than the Democrats do for two of those reasons. One, they need to get to 51 seats. And two, there's more Republicans up for re-election than there are Democrats. And they actually need to overcome that burden, if you kind of understand. Is that the best way to explain that?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, the House is different because the House, everybody's up for re-election.
Oh, thank you.
Our cat Lily just brought in a surprise toy here all of a sudden. Unexpected guest here.
This is a piece of weed whacker.
A weed whacker.
Cord.
Thank you. I wonder if they could hear that. Yeah, so the House, if Republicans want to take back the House, that's a much easier, it's literally a 50-50 chance for either one because everybody's up for re-election. Everybody's up for re-election in the House.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Senate, it's just the odds are harder there or easier for the Democrats to regain for those two reasons.
May the odds be in your favor.
Yeah. Do the let me know if you know what movie that's from. But what a surprise. I just showed a video here as you stepped away to check on Julian. That Ron Johnson, Senator Ron Johnson, is losing his current political polling here. Let me know if you know about Ron Johnson there. Just a refreshing reminder here for our viewers if you're from his state of Wisconsin. And in case you forgot here, Republican Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. Here's the articles to remind you guys. If you're from Wisconsin and you want to vote, here I am to remind you. Ron Johnson twice blocked COVID stimulus checks for the whole country. He says, quote, "I'm not heartless. I want to help people. I voted to help people."
By blocking the stimulus checks.
By blocking the stimulus checks to help the
He voted to help people by blocking the checks.
And here's another headline here. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson blocks proposal to provide $1,200 virus relief checks. But he voted to help people. And then here, just from this month, 2022, August 2022, Senator Ron Johnson suggests ending Medicare and Social Security as mandatory spending programs. Even though you pay monthly premiums for Medicare every month, you pay into the Medicare Part B, and B, you pay into Social Security your whole life, and you expect a return on your investment. You expect a return on the money that you've paid in Social Security for years and years and years and years. You pay in, and you want to get a return on your money back. Well, Senator Ron Johnson suggests that we should end Social Security and Medicare as mandatory spending programs, and that every year the government should decide whether or not that they should continue on a yearly basis.
I can't remember who it was, but I think there was one of the newscasters said that that idea was political suicide.
Yeah, it was Wolf, the guy, the
Wolf Blitzer?
Wolf Blitzer. I believe it was him.
No, I think it was Chris somebody.
I don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, well, pretty much, yeah. So, yeah, now you wonder why you're not doing well in the polls?
So you pay into Social Security for 30, 40 years, put all that money in, and then Ron Johnson's going to say, oh, no. The politicians are going to approve whether you get the money back or not every year.
I'd like to know if he's collecting Social Security.
I mean, he's worth like 40, 50 million. So he could care less if he gets his Social Security check.
But is he collecting it?
I don't know. But you know how these guys, if you're worth 40 or 50 million, do you care if you don't get your check?
That guy is something else. He's a piece of work.
And here's the problem, Mike. you know how the government is. The Republicans and Democrats can never get along, right? And how many government shutdowns do we have where, oh, we can't get along. We're going to have a government shutdown for a month or 2 months or 3 months or, a long time, right? Well, imagine if they can't, if Social Security has to be approved every year.
And here's poor Betty waiting for her Social Security check that she depends on every month to buy her groceries.
Yeah, or to pay your rent.
Yeah.
Guess what? Your landlord ain't going to care. They're going to kick you out.
So then what then, Ron Johnson?
Oh, well, Ron Johnson's going to be sitting there happy with his 40 or 50 million.
Yeah.
He ain't going to care. He's going to be eating steak and eating cake.
But I thought he wants to help people.
Oh, yeah, he voted to help people.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure he's sending out his campaign emails saying, please, give me your donations. Make sure you vote for me.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because that's what they're doing, right? Vote for me. Give me your money. I'll vote for you, right? I voted to help people.
Yeah.
This is the hypocrisy of politicians, right? This is, I see it all the time in our comment section. We need new blood in Congress. So listen, that's why when these people show you who they are, whether they're Democrats or Republicans or who they are, remember when
people show you who they are, you believe them.
That's right. So remember that. Don't let them forget when they showed you who they are over the last year or 2 or 3 or 4. Remind them who they are with your votes, because this has been a very important last year or 2, or in senators' cases, 6 years. Because Ron Johnson's been there for 6 years. Senators serve 6-year terms.
Time to say bye-bye, Ron.
So, and honestly, even Republicans, Democrats, independents, there's not many independents there, but vote carefully. Vote carefully. So let me know your thoughts here in the comment section. We'll keep you up to date here with everything on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. You can show your support by hitting the thumbs up button, which is completely free to do so. And we don't ask for campaign donations or anything like that. We're just here to let you know what's going on here on a daily basis. We'll keep you up to date. You can click here to watch our newest video next.
No, I'm not.
This way towards my wife. And you can click here to see the list of states that are sending out checks here. Over 20 of them here. Our most recent video on that. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.